Okay, Agate Caballel versus Zhili Zhang. So, guys, as I'm recording this, as of today, because as of today, as recording this, already have reports on BoxingScene.com stated that as of today, of February the 26th, today, the WBO rankings are already up right now as of today, with Justice Hooney being number one in the WBO, Moses Atama being number two, but Fabio Wardley number three. Here's the thing. Zhili Zhang is number four. Now, of course, you could say that Agate Caballel deserves to be on the rankings, but wait. The reason for that is that Caballel is the WBC champion, interim champion. How? Because of how this fight ended. So like I said before, guys, I love the match graphics. I love the graphics of the tail of the tape. I love how they just... you just watch the footage. I just don't know how they do it. It's just crazy. It's crazy. But guys, I don't want to talk about this fight because even though I was supposed to review this on the 24th, last Monday, but because it was just so hard for me to talk about because I was upset by how these fights ended. Like, I didn't want Zhili Zhang to lose the fight, but I didn't want Agate Caballel to lose his spot as a German fighter, to lose his spot to be in the rankings. So it was hard for me to pick who deserves to win this fight. It was that hard for me. So we come to the first round of the fight, and surprisingly, as Zhang does get the first round easily won. Mostly the fight goes that they're going clockwise, like they're all going clockwise for each other. And there is one moment halfway through the first round where Zhang is now getting punches thrown, knocking back Agate in the first round. And at this moment, I was like, what are you doing, Zhang? Why are you using all your energy in the first round? I was really worrying myself because even though I did say Agate would win by round 10 or even round 9 by knockout, but he was using up most of his energy in the fight. By round 2, Agate got round 2, and then by round 3, it seemed like something was wrong with Zhang. It just seemed like his body was getting tired by round 3. But here's the thing I found really surprisingly. Agate Caballel was so much into body punches that this is the moment when I realized that something was up. Now, guys, in every boxing fight for Zhili Zhang's career, a lot of boxers don't go for body punches on Zhang in fights. But there is times that there are body punches, but not a lot of them were affecting Zhili Zhang in the fight. I even look back at Jerry Forrest, and Jerry Forrest never wasn't a really good skillful fighter, even thinking about bodying for body punches in the fight to give Zhang a loss. It just didn't seem like it. And so I was questioning what Agate was doing. There was a moment in round 4 that seemed like something was going on because in round 4, Agate, at this moment, knew that Zhang had his energy. He was throwing uppercuts, well, I wouldn't say uppercuts, but jabs upstairs, hooks downstairs, extra body punches. And even though Zhang would go for body punches a couple times and sometimes in the 4th round, but Caballel was outboxing everything he had in that. By round 5, he was already, at this moment, I was thinking to myself that this should be the moment that there's just, because I know that in my mind, in my heart of heart, I had a feeling maybe Zhang was going to get the knockout punch anytime now. Maybe he was going to wait for Caballel to lose his energy. But at this moment, Caballel knows that his energy and his stamina and his father time was getting the better of him in this fight. So, but I knew that Zhang still had that punch. And with 40 seconds into the 5th round, out of nowhere, Caballel stumbles forward to Zhang. He goes for a left punch. He goes for a left jab. Zhang goes for a left jab. At the same time, they both jabbed each other. And then they both swing a wild looping right to each other. They both miss. And then out of nowhere, Zhang goes for this amazing punch right down to the temple of Caballel, and he goes down. And the crowd in the audience and where Turkey Al Sheikh and other people that were in the audience, and at this moment, I actually see a replay. I think Alexander Usyk is wearing a yellow tie, but he's looking back to the left, not even look at the fight as Cabello is going down. But the crowd is not, I think the crowd were stunned, but the crowd were not on their feet when they saw that. But yet again, but at the same time, I'm not saying that this was fixed because maybe the fans thought this was a fixed knockout and Cabello just went down on purpose. But from that punch looked real. It really looked real to me. So some people are saying this fight was fixed, but who knows? Who knows? And then we go to the sixth round where everything was going downhill. At this moment, Cabello was still going for body punches. And then with 45 seconds left, he can't stop throwing body punches. Zhang goes down for some. I think he put his glove on the canvas because the referee might have saw it, even though the cameras didn't catch it. So he gives him a knockdown. And then Zhang is getting tossed into the ropes from one rope to another. Another body punch goes down Zhang. And at this moment, it seemed like he's just stretching his back because it was just so dangerous. And seeing the replay of Zhang and his bloody nose, I just felt bad. And then he goes down a third time, or I think it was a third time. I'll have to look back again because it said that he was dropped down with a body shot with a KO. I think someone said, or maybe that was some other boxing fight I was talking about. But still, around 2 minutes and 29 seconds of the round, the referee stops it by KO, and Agit Cabello is the winner of the fight. And at this moment, I just felt bad looking at this match. And then Anthony Joshua congratulates him into the ring, and that's how it ends. And I could swore that there was a moment I thought maybe like Alexander Usyk did come to the ring and congratulated him with the interim title he had. So yet again, which was vacant, but yet again, I wouldn't really say there's much to it. But at the end of the day, it does stink. Like you have Zhilei Zhang, this person, like, yeah. And looking at it, guys, it just seemed like Zhilei Zhang was doing the Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis fight, only fight, where Mike Tyson used up all his energy in the first round, and he never won any other round after round 8 when he lost. It just, like, seeing 3 body KOs in a row in the 6th round, yeah, I look back at it. I'm not saying that Agit Cabello does strike a lot of craziness. And people online in the comments are even saying stuff like, oh, Cabello is too slow. He doesn't have what it takes to beat Usyk. And I'm like, dude, what else do you want Usyk to fight against? Because I don't want to see him fight against another British fighter. I don't want to see him fight against Joshua or Dubois or Fury again. I don't want to see that. I don't. It's a waste of time. Because the entire heavyweight career, if you don't talk about Chaz Witherspoon, which was his first fight back in 2019 in his heavyweight, and his first heavyweight fights in 2013 and 2014, which were not British fighters. But by 2020 to 2024, and my nose is itching too much, Usyk has only been fighting against British fighters. So it's so bad to see that people are saying, oh, Agit Cabello doesn't have what it takes. Because, yes, he's not a massive puncher, he's not super fast, but he still has a lot of solid stuff. He has discipline. He has heart. Like, and I really want to see him try to fight for a world title. I want to see Zhang fight for a world title, but there's no Chinese boxers that have no skills. And I'm not trying to offend out Asian because people are saying Asian people are short. There's a lot of small Asian people. You go to a Japanese subway train and you see these little small seats, and I have a big butt, so it's hard to sit down in a small chair because us foreign people are like giants of Goliath, and there's a lot of Davids in the train, so we don't have a lot of big heavyweights in those countries, but that doesn't mean that there's still a chance we want to see that. Like, I'm saying that Zhilei Zhang deserved to get title shot a long time ago. I wanted to see a rematch with him and Parker, even if Parker was going to win the IBF title. Well, scratch that because we'll get to that later. I just don't understand what people want to see in Alexander Usyk fight, because I don't want to see another British fight with him. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and it's a waste. It's just, that's it. So Vergil Ortiz versus, oh boy, versus Israil Madrimov. So guys, this fight really doesn't give me a lot of stuff to talk about. At the end of the day, I'm just going to skip through this one because, like I said before, if there is truth about the bronchitis and such, then who knows? All we know is Vergil Ortiz is 5'10", 153, 26 years old, 22-0. Madrimov is 4 years older than him, 5'8.5", and around 152. It doesn't matter, and I looked at this fight being an easy win for Ortiz. He's in black trunks. Madrimov is in white trunks. He outboxes him in this fight, and even though in some of the first round, Madrimov was putting in an interesting work on him in this fight, and even though Madrimov got the first interesting rounds in the fight differently, in my opinion, because there were times that Madrimov was outboxing him a little bit in this fight, and then Ortiz would get stuff back from him. Because there were moments in this fight that seemed really interesting enough, like from round 1 and round 2 and round 3. And then in round 4, it was Vergil Ortiz coming out of nowhere, making a wild turn of events. He started finding his rhythm in round 4, and I didn't see nothing wrong with Madrimov in the fight. It seemed like he was doing an okay job. I don't know if his illness was that bad. I'm surprised that he still managed to do an okay job winning some of the rounds in the fights, and then he would win later rounds in the fight. Like, there were moments that he might have won, like he did won probably... I did thought that he might have won round 8 and probably round 11, but of course, around the time, there were some rounds that looked like Vergil was outboxing him. There were times in round 7 and round 8 that he was doing an amazing job, even though there's times that sometimes that Madrimov would try to wrestle him. Like one time in round 8 that he was stuck to the corner of the rope and he did a 180 and started trying to push Vergil to the ropes at one point, and the referee gave him a warning not to do that. Or even in round 12 or round 9, like there were some times in the fights that seemed like that there was still a lot of domination, because Vergil was completely dominating him in round 4, round 6. He even demolished him in round 9, 10, and 12. Like, he had a handful of rounds that were completely demolished rounds on him. And it seemed like it was a pretty surprising turn of events. And it was surprising. Of course, by round 10, just seeing how Vergil was putting out a lot of work in the fight, and then in round 11, like I said before, the last 30 seconds of the fight looked like Madrimov might have won the round, because he was out throwing interesting punches in him in the last 30 seconds of the fight, and that's why I thought there were moments he might have won. And then in the 12th and final round, it was just... it's hard for me to talk about it, because, like I said before, there were times that Madrimov was getting tired. There were sometimes there were clinches and moments in the fight. But he was putting in an interesting close work at the time in the fight. But at the end of the day, if I wanted to talk about this fight, this would be a long episode, because I'm already trying to do a 2-part podcast right now. Part 1 is this entire show, and part 2 are other things that don't have to do anything about the show. So it's just crazy. Because even though I really can't say much about it, but yeah, I had the fight 115 to 113, giving round 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 12 for Vergil Ortiz the win. And 2 judges had the similar way. I think they had an announcer judge at the time giving it 116 to 112. Someone said they had it 115 to 113. One judge had it 117 to 111. And your favor by WBC interim world super welterweight champion, Vergil. And that's all it says. All in all, nothing much to say about this fight. Carlos Adams versus Hamza Shiraz for the WBC world middleweight champion. And this one does give me a little bit of problem in the fight because as looking at it, I did say that Carlos Adams might have a victory here because it had a lot of interesting moments here. Because when looking at the fight and looking at it from afar, I wouldn't really say there's much about this fight than anyone else would have thought because Carlos Adams is trying to recover from a loss in his career. He's trying to see what he can get himself into while the fight goes on. And after his 12-round loss for the WBO Interim World Super Welterweight title in 2019, I wouldn't really say there's much to his career other than he has traveled a lot. And just like the other fighter, as I talked about in the first fight, that's fought in a lot of places before, Hamzat Shiraz has only been to Saudi Arabia twice ever since his Austin Williams win for the WBC silver middleweight title in June of 2024. Comes out and just puts out an amazing win. And surprisingly, it just seemed like something might have been off about this fight because around the first round, it just seemed like Shiraz was not in his game plan in the fight. Because Carlos was putting a good performance of outboxing him in some time in the fight, and it seemed like there was not much to it. Like there were times that there was a little bit of interesting moments in the fight where I thought there was some interesting moments in the fight because because there were a little bit of closeness in some rounds of the fight. I thought to myself, like Shiraz and Carlos had something in the first, and for some interesting reason, I thought round one Carlos won the fight, and then in round two Shiraz had it. In round two, round three was Carlos, and round four was Shiraz, and then round five, which some people thought was a Shiraz round, but I thought it was another Carlos round. Some people thought round one was Shiraz round. Yet again, who knows? Who knows? I might be wrong. They might be wrong. They might be right. I might be right. Who knows? All I'm saying is that it just seemed like that it looked like there was time that someone was winning the fight, but it looked like Carlos was doing a good job and maybe Shiraz was, but who knows? Like there's moments in round five where Shiraz was throwing punches, but there was moments that he was actually in the defense. Because, guys, the problem about the fight is that he was on the defensive side for a lot. Because Carlos, there were times that in rounds of the fight that Carlos was doing an interesting job. There was one, it was just sometimes that there was moments in the fight that some people thought maybe someone gave round one the win for this guy. And also the announcer, I forgot who the person was. There was also a friend of theirs in the desk at the time that gave Shiraz round one, but gave Carlos Adams round two after the sixth round started for some reason, which I still find it really confusing. There's a lot of us confusing judges. Really, I just don't know. But I don't want to get to that because this would be too much of a video to talk about. But my point was that it just seemed like Carlos was winning rounds and Shiraz was just getting rounds taken from him, or some people were taking rounds from him, but I don't know. Like in round 6, 7, 8, and 9, and even round 10 was definitely a slaughter fest for Shiraz. Definitely. Like round 11 was one round that looked like, and guys, if I wanted to talk about those other rounds, this would be a long video because I just want to get to the co-main events and the last fights because these fights aren't interesting to me. But when looking at Shiraz, it looked like that he was more in the defensive side because someone said around the middle of the fight that he broke his hand and he wasn't on his game plan, which I think his friend Edwards or a trainer of his said that his hand was broken, which is why he was on the defensive side because he was getting a lot of punches blocked away from him in some fights. But in round 11, he was managing to get some good rounds, jabs back into himself in some of the fight for some reason. But yet again, what do I know? I don't know. And then in round 12 was just a huge winning round for Carlos. That after 12 rounds of fighting, I gave Carlos round 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. My score was 117 to 111, which is surprising enough. Some professional scorers had it 114 even. One judge had it 114 even. One judge had it 115 to 114 for some reason for Shiraz, giving one round of a 10-10 even in one round, so Shiraz would win. One judge had it 118 to 110, favoring Carlos. So I really did question the problem, but something told me there was a robbery in the fight for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, for some reason, there was a lot of problems questioned. Even when they scored the 114 to 115 for Shiraz in the first, and the announcer gave 118 to 110, and then the other had 114 to 114 even, it just really concerned me that something was up. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like something was up in that fight. Some professional scorers give it 114 even on BoxRec, and then other people had, I don't know. Something was up about this fight, controversial due to the internet and the fight itself. So I had it easily for Carlos in the fight. But it's a good thing he still gets to keep the WBC title after his win in June the 15th in the MGM Grand against Terrell Gasha. But yet again, I wish he would have won this fight, but we'll see. Like I said before, it said that Shiraz had an injury in this fight, so who knows who's telling the truth, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Guys, I want to ignore this fight because I really don't want to talk about this fight because it's just a waste of time, but guys, I'm going to go through this fight quickly because I don't want to talk about it because it just makes me want to... It's... Shakur Stevenson versus Josh Padway for the WBC title. World Lightweight title. This is, by far of a doubt, just a squash match. Now, I'll give credit for Josh Padway in this fight. He did win in that fight pretty good. He was in more better shape than friggin' Martin Bakal, which we'll get to that in just a couple little minutes. The first round was pretty close enough. It was a close round for some. The first round was a pretty good, close starter for some of us. And it seemed like there was actually some competitiveness in the fight. And Padway was doing a good job in other rounds in the fight, but he wasn't really landing a lot of punches other than throwing a lot of punches, hitting Shakur's glove. And time when they were clinching, he would get free shots in. The first round was close of a Shakur round, but you can say Padway won that round if you want to, because that's the only round that I thought he won, because after round one, it just seemed like it was all Shakur Stevenson. By round two, he was already outboxing him in some spaces at the time. Round 3, round 4, round 5, and like there were times in round 4 where Padway was putting in more good performances, but he wasn't getting the punches connected, while Shakur was getting easy punches seen easily landing on Padway in the fight. By round 6, I was seeing a little bit of interesting tiredness in the fight where there's moments that Shakur was actually punching him to the rope, and then Padway turns around and starts throwing punches, blocking Stevenson to the rope, like cornering him to the rope at one point halfway through the 6th round, which is something I wish to God Hyun Mi Choi should have done in her fucking match last year if she wasn't a Korean bitch fucking chicken against a Canadian. What the hell is wrong with Korean people? Why are they scared of not going in the fight? Why? But either way, Padway, at least he had the balls to keep throwing punches and trying to get something done on Stevenson in the 6th round. even though it was too much of a gratitude. Even when he was getting out of situation and Shakur got stuck and he got himself to the ropes, at least Padwe had the balls not to back up, but just to continue throwing punches for the heck of it. Like, you gotta give credit to Padwe. At least he was trying. At least he was trying. But Stevenson was getting the bigger work on him. There were times that they almost stumbled and fell on the ground in the sixth round. But yet again, I was just seeing so much problems in this round that it just seemed crazy. Even in round 7, it looked like I was looking at Padwe getting tired, and it looked like he was about to go down. And something told me that he was going to go down, because even by the end of round 8, which was all Stevenson, he was just getting good offensive punches. And I was thinking to myself, he just wanted to finish this fight by knockout instead of getting another points decision, which I don't blame him. By round 9, Padwe was done. His hair was all messy and drizzly and sweating, and Stevenson was like $1,000,000. And with the first minute of the match of the ninth round, which I can't talk straight, he was putting in every single work trying to bring Padwe down. Padwe did not want to give up. So the first knockdown comes where Stevenson throws a jab, and then Padwe tries to block it with his left, and he exposes his left rib, only for Stevenson to barely get a left punch connected, and Padwe bends over, goes down, and then he actually slams his right glove in the canvas, which I questioned that, because I don't know if he was faking that or not, but I don't know. Like, maybe he screwed up, maybe he was upset. And then 30 seconds later, around 1 minute and 30 seconds of the fight, he was cornering Padwe to the ropes again, but Padwe is still throwing punches, trying to hurt him again. Dude, I will say though, body punches in this entire event are so crazy that knockout punches are in the body. That's just crazy. But yeah, he's still trying to fight back, and before the 1 minute mark was about to come to an end, he throws another body punch. Down goes Padwe, and then he somehow threw another punch that looked like that Padwe already touched the canvas, so he hit him while he was down, and the referee told him to back up because of that. But for some reason, Padwe gets back up because it looked like he thought to himself, yeah, I'm not going to win by disqualification. I'm going to win this deservingly. I don't know if that was the reason, because it looked like Shakur might have knocked him out, but then punched him while he was down, and the referee pointed at him that you better not do that again. I don't know why he didn't deduct him a point, or why Padwe didn't stay down. Maybe he thought that they weren't going to give him a chance to win by disqualification because they weren't going to do that to Stevenson. Who knows? But all we know is 15 seconds left of the final round. He comes out of nowhere. He's trying his best to survive, and then Shakur throws another left body punch, another pound on the canvas by Padwe. But at this moment, during the 3 minute mark, someone said that someone threw in the towel, and that was it. By the end of round 9, Shakur retains the title, and as he retains the title, they announce the winner. The crowd is booing. Dude, that's just crazy. At the end of the day, I don't blame them, but yet again, what else can you say? It's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I just can't blame you. Joseph, give me a second. This is hilarious. This is hilarious for me to talk about. Guys, I will say though, here's one thing I just want to talk about Shakur Stevenson. Even though Shakur Stevenson might not be an entertaining fighter, but this fight was not as boring as I thought. Josh Padwe was doing some interesting stuff in the fight. He was having the guts to trade punches and try to keep fighting Shakur outside of the fight and right into the rope. So it wasn't a boring fight. But at the end of the day, when you look back at it today, it was just a mismatch. It was a mega underdog fight, and Shakur had an easy win there, and that's all that matters. And for the real of the win to the title defense, and it was tough, but there wasn't much to it than just a single win. And for the real of a southpaw fighter from an orthodox, just it was a mismatch from start to finish, and the southpaw Shakur had it right at the end. And for all that, it was what it is. But at least Josh Padley got a good payday, and I think he did prove himself to be a real tough fighter, even though he does need more practice. And for the Stevenson fans and Kwang, for 23-0 is right on top of the food chamber. Joseph Parker versus Martin Bakal for the WBO World Interim Heavyweight Champion. Martin Bakal is only a few days into the fight, 310 pounds or 315, with Joseph 267. They come into the fight. They're boxing their way right inside to the fight. Bakal trying to get some jabs, block his way in. Parker sometimes goes forward, goes for a body punch downstairs with his left. He's trying to scare him off. Bakal barely not moving every time he gets hit in the body. And mostly there were times that Bakal was trying to get something interesting in the first round. He does get punches thrown. He ducks at one point, and Parker is trying to scare him off at one point. With 1 minute 15 seconds of the round, he gets a left jab, and then Bakal comes out. He starts throwing jabs of his own. They're only getting left jabs thrown, not a lot of right jabs in this fight. This was an easy round for Parker, but before the end of the round, it looked like Bakal got a little bit of an uppercut hit on him, so he starts throwing a wild right and a wild left, completely misses, backing Joseph Parker to the ring, and the bell rings. And then in round 2, he comes in. Like, at least Bakal is throwing punches in this fight, but he's trying to back him up some bit, trying to do the same thing to Jared Anderson, but Parker doesn't want no part of it. He starts throwing punches at this moment, and Bakal is a little bit of an overweight person, so this is the reason why I said round 5 or round 6 would be a knockout win for Parker, but I didn't really expect it to be this early. He starts cornering Parker at one point, and then seconds later, they start clinching to the ropes at one point, and Bakali's body's out of shape, and then for some wild reason, Parker is starting to land great offensive punches in the fight as best he could. But then the fight ends where out of nowhere, so the fight ends with 1 minute left of the fight. They stop, and then Bakali throws a right, misses. But then Parker, out of nowhere, somehow maybe had a looping right, barely clipping part of the equilibrium that hit Bakali's equilibrium, which made him stumble back forth like a chicken dance. Down goes Bakali. And he tries to get back up, and by 6, 7, and by the 8 count, he stumbles to the corner. And as he tries to look at the referee stops the fight. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Why did referee Steve Gray stop the fight? We don't know. And something was up. I don't know why they didn't stop the fight. But like I said before, they show us the replay where part of the head and the angle might have hurt Bakali, which goes to show you part of this head is the weakness that can hurt you and almost stumble you back. It is what it is, and they announced the winner to Parker. Bakali was rated number 5 in BoxRec. Parker was number 7. Well, guess what? Parker is now rated number 4 in BoxRec, while Bakali, well, he's rated number 15, right down the garbage disposal, just like Joey Zhang, and that's it. It is what it is, but I just really question something wrong was there, but I don't know. It just seemed like something bad was here because guys, this is what upsetted me the most a few days ago and why I didn't want to talk about this, because I was upset. Not because of Josh Padley and Martin Bakal's days notice, because they didn't have the energy to make it all the way to start to finish, but it just seemed so upset to me because I felt that something was wrong because guys, listen to me. 2023, 2024, Zhou Zhang, WBO interim champion. Martin Bakal, number one ranked of the WBA. Well, he's from the Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo. Zhou Zhang is from China. These are two boxers in the heavyweight that have never had a heavyweight title shot in their country. And all we get in 2023 is Usyk taking on Dubois in Britain. And then we get two fights in 2024, which are just Tyson Fury and Usyk. And Kubrat Pulev wins against German Mahmoud Achar for the WBA champion. And before you know it, now in 2025, Zhang and Bakal's careers are dead because of this night. And all we get is a British boxer ducking from a fight due to illness, and this is what happens. It just upsets me that that's what we got, and I just don't know why we have to witness that and why these boxers don't get a chance, because now, at this moment, I'm like, well, you might as well give them a heavyweight title shot against Kubrat Pulev. Why not have Zhou Zhang fight against him? Or have Martin Bakal give him a chance to fight against Pulev? It just questions me. It's upset that I get to see a waste of time, and I just wish that's not what we would have saw from this show, and it just upsets me that it had to go this way. But guys, the main event is just going to get worse for me. Artur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol, undisputed, all for the goal. This is a moment when the straw broke my back because so guys, here's the thing. I gave round 1, round 2, round 7, round 8, round 9, round 10, and round 11 for Dmitry Bivol. The other rounds are for Beterbiev. I had to fight 115 to 113. One judge had it the same way. One judge had 116 to 112, and the other had 114 even. So just like a few months ago, 3 of the scorecards were the same thing. Majority decision, all went 114, 114 even, 116, 112, 115 to 113, favorite Beterbiev. Only this time, it's opposite. Same scorecards, only this time Beterbiev won the fight. Guys, I never wanted to talk about the fight because it just... Like, the first rounds of the fight were like, okay, well, it just seemed like there were times that they were putting themselves in the fight. It is hilarious because if you had to put these guys in 5 fights against each other, I don't think none of them would knock each other out because Beterbiev and Bivol were putting so much punches into each other after 24 rounds. There's just no way they would have knocked each other out in any round. I'll give credit. Bivol was doing a good job, and Beterbiev was trying his best to get something done in the fight, and he did start winning rounds early in the fight. Like I said before, like he did had round 3, round 4, round 5, round 6. And then halfway through the fight, there were moments I thought he was messing up or something. Maybe. Like I said, guys, there were moments in this fight that I thought maybe he had what it took, and even by round 7, it looked like Beterbiev had something there. And guys, I don't want to talk about this. It's just so headache to me to watch this because Beterbiev and Bivol were just dominating each other from one fight to another because it's not like in round 6 where they started throwing so much. Like, it seemed like these guys were on so much. I don't know what to say. These guys were just so out of it. I don't know what to say about this fight. Like, Beterbiev, I didn't want Beterbiev to win the fight. No, I wanted him to win the fight. I didn't want Bivol to win the fight, even though I did say I did vote him to win the fight, but I didn't want him to win the fight because it's like, like Beterbiev, he is part Canadian, and I'm Canadian too, and I didn't want him to lose the fight, but something told me he was going to lose this fight, and they were going to have a trilogy match just to see who was going to win. And there was a moment that something dumb was going to happen. Like, even though there's one moment in round 11, during the final seconds of the 11th round, they had a screen picture box of Eddie Hearn clapping and applauding. And you look back at it, it was just so tough. Like, I will give credit for Bivol trying to get some good offensive approaches in the later rounds, and it looked like there's some fans that were cheering Beterbiev was going to win this fight online, and some on stream were watching the fight thought Beterbiev was winning the fight. And I wish that was the truth. But for some reason, all three judges had it similar rounds, just like in the first fight, and only this time Bivol won the fight. And it's even crazy, guys, because after the end of round 12, they come out, Beterbiev dominates the last round. I had 115 to 113, favoring Bivol, which I really regret doing that. And then when they announced the winner, both the box screen, when the announcer announces the last score in the fight by majority decision, and he says, and new light heavyweight champion of the world, Bivol, his hands are up, he's in happy. You see Eddie Hearn behind him yelling right out of the sky, and I know he might be in tears because he wanted to get one victory up from Frank Warren, similar because of that, which just goes to show you, like Eddie Hearn, guys, I understand that Eddie Hearn wanted to win this fight. Like, he wanted to get one up from Frank Warren, similar to how Hogan got one win up against Warrior in Halloween Havoc 98, even though the match was crap. I understood that. But at the end of the day, guys, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, can you argue about that? No, because at the end of the day, it's great that Eddie Hearn finally got a win up against Frank Warren, because 2024 was the year that gave him so much problems with the best out of 5. But at the end of the day, but you know what upsets me most? Some months ago, about a month ago, before, David Benavidez said that when he does win the fight against David Morrell for the WBA regular light heavyweight champion, he did say that if they're going to have a trilogy match, if Bivol wins in a rematch, he's going to go to the cruiserweight and just forget about the light heavyweight, because he doesn't want to wait another full year while these guys might have another rematch maybe next year or even by the fall of 2025. So at this moment, it's just another waste of talent. But who knows? Someone might strip one of the belts away from Bivol before the trilogy, and maybe Benavidez will win the fight and then win that title and maybe go for a win. At the end of the day, I am curious to find out what's going to happen in the future, but we're just going to have to wait and see while time goes on. And that's all I have to say. So that was the event for the Undisputed Light Heavyweight Championship event, Bivol versus Beterbiev 2 fight. I hope you viewers enjoyed this video. Make sure, guys, because, guys, tomorrow, as this video is uploading, I'm going to do another podcast of the updates of all of the other fights that have happened for the last some weeks right now. So we're going to see what happens. I can't wait to do another 1-hour video until my nose stops itching. So thank you for watching this video, and Foxwolf says, out.